Ladies and gentlemen, here we are in the town of Cicero, Illinois. Cicero, Illinois. Known for one thing. Well, known for many things, but one thing chiefly around the world. This was the headquarters to one Alphonse Capone. Al Capone. Al Capone's Chicago headquarters were at the Four Deuces, the Metropolitan Hotel, and later the Lexington Hotel. But here, in Cicero, the town is syndicate owned, from the mayor to the street sweepers. Business was chiefly transacted here, the Hawthorne Inn, 4833 West 22nd Street. After Capone's violent takeover of the town, Cicero, after the election of 1924, he set up shop at the Hawthorne, fitting it with bulletproof shutters and surrounding every entrance with battalions of armed guards. This truly was the true Chicago City. This was truly the City Hall of Cicero, the center of power, and where orders emerged from the Hawthorne Inn. Even Mayor Joseph Z. Clinton jumped. Now, Cicero City Hall is one block down that way. Back in the 20s and 30s, it was the mayor that was slapped in the face and fell down the steps of City Hall here in Cicero. When Al Capone got upset with him in the middle of the day and slapped him in the face and knocked him down City Hall steps. So it was the Hawthorne Inn that Dean O'Banion began his double-crossing scheme. It was at the Hawthorne Inn that Dean O'Banion began his double-crossing scheme, telling Capone and Johnny Torio. Johnny Torio was the first boss of the outfit. That's the Chicago mob. That he planned to leave the bootlegging game for greener pastures out west, leading to Torio's arrest at Sibean brewery, O'Banion's assassination, and Torio's brush with death himself. Having failed to kill Torio, O'Banion's henchmen attempted to avenge their slain leader's life with a direct frontal assault on the Hawthorne Inn here, September 20th, 1926. On that date, Al Capone was eating lunch on the first floor of the Hawthorne, somewhere probably right around here. At 1:15, a car came down Cermak Road, which is right behind me. The sound of machine gun fire echoed through the restaurant, sending waiters and patrons running out the back. Capone and his bodyguard hit the deck as the car passed, and the sound of gunfire intensified. Once the gunfire ceased, Capone arose unharmed and ran to the door, ready to get a good look at the assailants. Suddenly, he noticed something odd. Despite hundreds of bullets, not a thing was broken in the restaurant. The apparent drive-by shooting was a decoy, and only blanks had been fired in an attempt to draw Capone out of the restaurant to his death. With the sudden realization, Capone's bodyguards tackled him, just as a caravan of 7 Lincolns headed by Schemer Drewski, Bugs Moran, and Jaime Weiss passed by the Hawthorne, practically razing the hotel with machine gun fire. Oh, that was a brilliant and devious plan as they drove by and shot blanks. And Al Capone rose and thought it was over and walked outside right here on this very sidewalk. Jaime Weiss and Bugs Moran drove by down Cermak, spraying the hotel, practically razing the hotel with machine gun fire. Almost 1,000 shots were fired into the establishment. But again, the Northsiders were frustrated. Not one person, and certainly not Capone, was killed. In retaliation, Capone ordered the hit of Jaime Weiss at O'Banion's flower shop, and the cycle of violence between the Capone's outfit and the Northside Gang continued to intensify. All that happened right here in September of 1926. If you can imagine, the Capone's eating inside there at the Hawthorne Inn. This is he has taken over Cicero. He has it lock, stock, and barrel. He slapped the mayor down the City Hall steps, which is just a block away, and he's eating lunch, and they drive by and let out gunfire, but they're just blanks. Capone comes out, looks around, and notices nothing's broken, nothing's damaged, and here comes Jaime Weiss and Bugs Moran as a second wave of actual gunfire, and they let loose 1,000 bullets. Not one person died. Capone wasn't even scratched. Imagine. if he would have been hit, you wouldn't even heard of Al Capone. He would have been a footnote in the history of gangsterism. He would just, let alone the baddest gangster ever to walk the planet. Now, look, the Hawthorne Inn remained open until 1970, and during much of that time, it remained a mob hangout. Today, the location is a parking lot for the bank. Well, there's the bank, and there's the parking lot. So, here we are. Here we are. Structure, and it's right here. The parking lot for the bank is out back and over here. So, all this happened right here, right off Cermak, as Bugs Moran and crew came by. I'm sure they were on the side, the riding the side of the car, with holding on to it with those runners that ran along those old cars, and were spraying gunfire, Tommy guns, all over the sidewalk here where Capone was. You think they would have just took one guy that they, really didn't like and say, just run up to him and shoot him one time, take the bullet for the team. But I guess they didn't do that. So this was a back and forth battle, and now nobody's heard of O'Banion, but everybody's heard of Al Capone. Had the war gone a different way, had O'Banion outsmarted him, and that was a pretty clever tactic there, to shoot blanks, have them think it's over, have them run out to see what's going on, and come back with a second wave of Bugs Moran, real top-notch gunners. Jaime Weiss and Bug Morans were top-notch gangsters. So that's what it is. Cermak Avenue is right here. This is Cermak. Call it 22nd Street, you call it Cermak. It has two different names. And if you don't know Chicago, the streets that are 22nd Street, 79th Street, 105th Street, all those are on the south side. There are no numbered streets like that on the north side. So when you hear numbered streets, that's the south side of Chicago. And the higher the number goes up, the farther south you are. So once you're in the hundreds, you could go to 110th, 115th. I don't know how far it goes south, but once you're done with Chicago, you end up in Indiana. So the farthest side of the Chicago, right there is Indiana. Cross right over to Indiana. But this is it. This is where Jaime Weiss and Bugs Moran plotted a hit on Al Capone after Dean O'Banion was killed. And we obviously know the St. Valentine's Day Massacre was another big event in this war between the Northside Irish and the Southside Italians. Here we are. 48-33.